Welcome to this episode of the Beach Bucket Podcast. Today we are speaking with Jersey girl and best-selling author Deirdre Palm Adams about her series of children's books, The Adventures of Rocky. Welcome, Deirdre.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This is so fun.
Well, I saw the way this all kind of came together is I saw your post on Facebook about these children's books and saw that the protagonist was a dog and was very intrigued. And then the book was Don't Be Bullied, Rocky, which I just love. And was like, I've got to get this person on the podcast. This person's doing great things. I'm a dog lover. And I reached out to you and we had a conversation and we kind of made this happen. Now, congratulations. This is the third book in your series. And it's based on your beloved poodle named Rocky. And your first two books were Rocky, Don't Worry, Rocky, Don't Worry, or
Don't Worry, Rocky.
Don't Worry, Rocky, and Don't Be
Rocky.
Afraid, Rocky.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, one, does Rocky know that Rocky is a star in these books?
Well, so Rocky kind of does know she's a star. I have to say, she comes to book signings. We do a lot of book signings at Sunrose Words of Music. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because Rocky actually has a little fan base out there. And when I say little, they're little kids, and they come and they want to see Rocky and they want to meet Rocky. So Rocky kind of knows that and when she sees the books, when I pick them up and I try to photograph with the book and she looks at me like, really? But she's a good example of all the messaging in the book because it's really not true story, but it's truly how Rocky is. Rocky has a lot of fears. She does. So it was really something that I thought kids could relate to when they read the book because they could, relate to Rocky and her feelings.
Now you've had other dogs, so when you got Rocky had some unique challenges in terms of when you got this dog. You saw some unique challenges in this dog. Was that the inspiration for this book?
I think I had unique challenges at the time as well. It's funny how dogs marry you at a certain time that when you really need them. So I've had 5 poodles. I grew up with poodles. Poodles are everything to me. I love poodles. My husband and I got married and we had a poodle named Tiger, and we had her for about 18 years and she passed, and we said, we'll wait a few years, right? Well, that few years didn't last very long because I saw Rocky and I just couldn't get her out of my mind. And I knew there was something about this dog, and I was going through a tough time in my career and things were really stressful. And I just knew that I wanted a dog. So I saw Rocky and I couldn't get her out of my head. And I said to my husband, we got to go get Rocky. We got to go get her. So we went up and we picked up Rocky, brought her to the beach house. And immediately I felt a sense of calm. I started walking Rocky on the beach in the morning. I love getting up in Ocean City. We have the most beautiful sunrises. And I love walking my dog on the beach. And there's so many people who do that. It's a whole community of dog walkers at sunrise. For sure. It's amazing. And I noticed that Rocky had all these fears. An airplane would go overhead and she would get terrified. Little things that dogs or people, anyone shouldn't be afraid of. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to write a book about fears in the mind of a child and how to overcome them? And Rocky could be the vessel to teach them that. I believe in the law of attraction. I love the law of attraction. And fear is the bottom of the scale of emotion, and joy is at the top. So the books are really climbing that ladder. So the first book is Don't Be Afraid, right? So that was kind of the theme of the book. It came out of nowhere. I am not an author by any means. I work in the fashion industry, and it just kind of came about. And I'm so grateful it did because I love that it's touched so many children, which I never thought that I would be in this position. So it's been really fun.
Now, with doing children's books, and you've now done 3, you have to have a good story, one that can hold a child's attention, but you also have to have these great illustrations, which your books do. They really bring the story to life. I'm going to show this last page, which I think is one of my favorites. And The illustration in this book, the characters in this book, really are just wonderful. Let's talk a little bit about the illustrations and your illustrator. Who put these pictures and these characters and brought them to life?
So my niece, Lindsay Morano, has always been an artist. Since she was a little girl, she would grab a crayon and create art. It was amazing. So we always knew she was an incredible artist. She learned a lot from her grandfather on really how to bring her artistic talents to life. So when I thought about this book, I thought there's no better partner than Lindsay. Lindsay has spent her summers at the beach in Ocean City. She loves Ocean City. She understands the culture and all the things like the lifeguard stands, right? The airplanes with the messaging. So she brought it all to life. I just gave her the manuscript and boom, she knew exactly where to go with the illustrations, because in a children's book, the illustrations are half the book, right?
Oh, sure.
So that is really how you hold the attention of a child, is with the images. So she brought Rocky to life in such a beautiful way. She created amazing characters, and I can't tell you enough how grateful I am. She adorned my entire beach house with her artwork prior to this book. So there's a picture on the wall of my old beach house that we had. There's pictures all over the wall of just, if you ever come to my house, I will give you a tour of Lindsay's artwork. It's incredible. Everyone who comes there, they're like, look at these great pictures. It's Lindsay. So I'm so proud of her. She does jewelry making. She does food art. She makes the most incredible focaccia bread. She'll do it in the shape of a Christmas tree.
Oh, nice.
Very nice. So everything Lindsay touches, she brings to life in a beautiful artistic way. So I'm so proud that she was part of this whole process with me.
I love that she's your niece. I love that it stays in the family. And I also love how these books are kind of embedded right in Ocean City.
Mm-hmm.
My podcast is based out of Ocean City, but you're a Jersey girl. You come down here, you have a house down here. And did you know when you started this book that, hey, Rocky's series is going to be based out of Ocean City? This is going to be a beach book. Well, it's not just a beach book, but this is going to be based out of Ocean City.
Well, there's no better, America's greatest family resort, right? It is the greatest place on earth. And for me, I work in Manhattan. So when I would cross that bridge, coming over the 9th Street Bridge, I immediately felt a sense of calm. So for me, there's no better place than Ocean City. So I thought it was the perfect stage to have this book based. And it's actually true events of Rocky on the beach having all these fears, right? She doesn't really talk to a crab, but there are a lot of similarities to how the book came about. So there was no choice that it would be Ocean City. I love Ocean City. I love the town. I love the people. I love the view. I love the sunrise. I love the food. I love everything about Ocean City. So there was no question. Ocean City is the perfect place to base the books.
I love that. Let me ask you about, now that you've done these 3 books, you go to schools, you go to bookstores, and you read these books to different children. What kind of response are you getting from children? And how do you know if these children are getting the message that Rocky's giving them?
So it's so much fun. It's all new to me as well. And my mother is my partner in crime in all of this. So my mom organizes the school book readings, and we did St. Joseph's School over in Summers Point. And it was amazing. There was about 70 kids in the auditorium, and we presented the book, and a child raised their hands and they said, I have a question. I said, sure, what's your question? He says, is this a true story? And I thought, wow, that is so touching, because he really understood that Rocky has a message to say. And it wasn't just some, story out there. He really related to it because he goes to the beach in Ocean City. So kids, for me, what I think the most about when I do book readings and things like that is the message that Rocky has is that it's okay to have fears. It's okay to worry. It's okay to be frustrated. But tell someone about it. Reach out for help. And that's what Rocky does. Rocky reaches out to her friends on the beach for help and advice and support. She figures it out in the end by herself, but she uses the tools around her in a very effective way. And I think kids relate to it as friends, teachers, parents, all the things that kids should do when they feel fear or upset, is to really go out there and ask for help. And that's what
There were a couple of things that I really liked about your book, and it's one is there's a piece of it that really comes through, and that's resilience.
yes.
And teaching a child to be resilient, not just confident. Anyone can, I think, come into a situation and be confident, and then you get knocked down.
Right.
And you do that over and over and over again, and you get knocked down. But teaching resilience, I think, is so important, because you can be confident, but when you get knocked down, it's hard to get back up. And I think teaching resilience in children is so important. I think your books do that. And I love that message.
Thank you.
The other is in Don't Be Bullied, Rocky, is the shark is not made into a bad guy. That would be so easy to do. The bully is not made into this horrible bad guy. There are no bad guys at the end of the book. And I like how you do that. There's kind of compassion and understanding throughout, right?
Yeah. So the Rocky always runs into a few scenarios in the book, and you're right, she gets knocked down, gets back up, gets knocked down, gets back up, so that is true about Rocky, where she keeps getting back up with the help of her friends. But the shark in this, you're right, I struggled with how I would make the shark a lovable character. Right? Because Salvo's not a bad guy, but he is kind of a typical guy in school that bullies kids that, Rocky walks by and she's teased, I should say.
Yes.
But then Rocky in the end, of course, understands why Salvo does what he does, and talks to Salvo about becoming a friend. Salvo just needed a friend. So,
exactly.
So I thank you for picking up on that message. I feel like that's my life. That's all of our lives, right? We constantly get knocked down, and it's always a struggle to get back up. But once you do, you have a whole different perspective. So it's always a good idea. Get back up.
Now, these books aren't your first book. You co-authored another book.
I did. Actually, Don't Be Afraid, Rocky was my first book. And I co-authored a book with 20 other women about really living all out. And my message in that book, it's a great book. It's called Living All Out. And my message in that book is don't always try to be so perfect. I work in the fashion industry, and it's a lot about how you look and making sure that everything is perfect. And I realized that after decades in the fashion industry, it's really about how you feel. And how you feel is so much more important than how you look. So feeling good makes you look good. Feeling beautiful makes you look beautiful. Like, it's all a perception of how you feel inside. And it's also kind of the message of Rocky too, right? So just as how you got to feel good. So yes, it's a great book. Has wonderful stories of friends of mine that we all got together on this book. And it's an amazing message to really just live your best life now. Don't put it off. Take the lessons you've learned from your past and just learn from it and live a good life. Life's so short. You might as well live it good, right?
It absolutely is. And what a juxtaposition from working in Manhattan in the fashion industry, this whole other kind of way of looking at things, kind of a I would say superficial way of looking at a person, to kind of taking that city superficiality to taking it to the beach, looking a little deeper and seeing people for more than what they are on the surface, and looking beyond what might just be going on the surface.
Yeah. And I think that's why I was so attracted to Ocean City, is because it is such a relaxed town. Everybody's relaxed. No matter where you look, there's nobody trying to be this, figure. You're just at the beach with your sweatshirt, with your bathing suit. You're who you are, beach hair, don't care. Right. So I love that about Ocean City. It's a relaxed feeling. There's no pretense. Everyone is just truly having a good time, and it's just joy. The town is just joy. It is.
Tell me about the process of writing a children's book. You know, what advice would you give to someone that wanted to sit down and write a book or write a children's book?
So I wrote my first book, Don't Be Afraid, Rocky, kind of on my own, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I really didn't. I joined a master class with Miriam Laundry Publishing for my second book, and I learned so much. And a lot of it I actually did on my own in the first book, but didn't realize I was doing it. But you got to start with a message. So what is the message that you want to put out there, right? So always think, okay, what's the message? So friendship, gratitude, and all of that can bring joy to every moment, calming, the tides. That was kind of the message with Rocky. Then there has to be a problem, right? The character has to run into a problem. Well, Rocky runs into a couple problems, but the big problem that Rocky has is fears, worry, anxiety. She's stressed out. Then there's roadblocks, and the roadblocks are the steps along the way that the character has the problem, hits a roadblock, has another problem, hits a roadblock. And then there's a solution, right? You always think of what's the solution and how can this character overcome all their problems and roadblocks. And then the ending should always be joy. It should always be fun. For children, they want to have a great ending. They want the character to be smiling. They want everything to turn out, fun and good in the end. So there's 5 steps: message, problem, roadblock, solution, and ending. But I think if you really want to sit down and write a children's book, there's so many tools to do that online. You can publish on Amazon. There's so many easy ways to do it. But always think about when you're writing the book, the audience that you're speaking to, and making sure that the words that you use, that the child can relate. You don't want large words. Sure. Another thing I learned in this class was, instead of saying Rocky's afraid, you say, oh, Rocky was shivering, and you explain the fear. Don't just say the fear. Explain the emotions behind the fear, so that it becomes a picture in the child's mind. So it's so much fun learning all this. I love it. I love speaking to children. I don't have children of my own. I'm a dog mom, so I've always had poodles. So for me, relating to children and really helping children has been such a joy.
Now, you said I'm not a writer. Do you feel like a writer now?
It's funny because people introduce me as an author, and I'm like, is that me? Who are they talking to? But
that is you.
I guess I am. It's not something that I set out to do. I was never formally trained except for this masterclass, which I highly recommend. It was a great masterclass. But I am going to continue this journey. I love writing now. It's a hobby that's turned into something that has given me such joy. So, of course, I'm going to keep going. And Rocky has so much more to say, right?
Oh, I'm sure. Now, well, that leads me into my next question. What's next for you as an author, and then also as a well-being strategist?
Well, I call myself a well-being strategist because I have an online health and wellness business. I believe in feeling good from the inside out, no matter what. So, what's next is I was thinking about, and I even talked to you about this a little bit, about creating a podcast for Rocky. Maybe Rocky can become a podcast for children. I have another book in my head. It's not a children's book, but it has something to do with my decades in the fashion industry, and how life is can be so much more joy than just the superficial end of it. So I have a book in my head about that. But for Rocky, I want to do a podcast. I want Rocky to have a message out there for kids to hear. Consistently. Rocky has so many stories to tell and so many lessons for kids to learn from her. She's always going to be having challenges that she can overcome.
I love that. How can our listeners find your books, and where can they find you on social media?
Well, the best place to find my book is Sunrose Words and Music in Ocean City on Asbury Avenue. I love that store. It's an amazing store. But they have Rocky featured right in the front window. I also am available on Amazon. So you can just search Rocky. Actually, if you search Rocky a lot, will come up. You want to search the title, Don't Be Bullied, Rocky, or you can search my name. My name will have all 3 books listed. Yep, Don't Be Bullied, Rocky. And then Rocky, I have Deirdre Palm Adams, author, on Facebook and Instagram. So you can always find updates there about what's happening with Rocky and what she's doing around town.
That's wonderful. And before we kind of close this segment out, I do have a handful of questions because you have a home in Ocean City, you're a local. I got to just throw a few questions by you. I don't mean to make this hard, and we've kind of previewed
Uh-oh.
this. I know. Best pizza in Ocean City.
Well, hands down for my family, it's Mario's. We love all pizza in town, right? Pizza is
Uh-huh.
just at the heart of anybody from Jersey.
Hmm.
But Mario's is so good.
It is.
So good. And they have great dinners too.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
The chicken parm, the
Oh,
eggplant parm.
yes. The
Yes, I
eggplant
love
one is
them.
my favorite. Yep.
Hmm. How about breakfast?
So breakfast, I do a lot of protein shakes at home. So I don't do a whole lot of breakfasts, but when
Fair
we
enough.
splurge, Malins sticky buns are the
Oh,
best. You got to get it with the raisins and the nuts. You have to get the whole thing, and you can't stop eating them. You can't just eat one. They're addictive. They're so good. I'm obsessed with Malin sticky buns.
when my family comes to town, they go to Malins before they visit me.
Oh, I can see why.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How
So
about lunch? How about lunch?
So lunch, I like John and Patty's has a great lunch. They
I
have a
love
really
John
good,
and
it's like a
Patty's.
chicken salad with like raisins in it and stuff. I love John and Patty's. It's such a great way to have you stroll along Asbury, stop and have lunch, stroll along Asbury a little more, stop in Sunrose, words of music, read a good book. But I love John and Patty's. I think they have really great food, and I love sitting outside on the street. It's so
I
good.
don't know if you've ever gotten a pup cup at John and Patty's for Rocky, but they are unbelievable. They're
I'm going to do
huge.
that. I've heard of that, but I haven't done it. But
They're
that's
huge. They put like this peanut butter stuff on there. I
really
was like, this is unbelievable. Yeah, there. And if you sit outside, there it's a dog friendly. It's yeah, I love John and Patty's.
yeah,
Great place.
so good.
How about boardwalk? What kind of boardwalk
Oh
food do you
gosh. So the boardwalk. Well, that's a hard one because you can't walk 10 feet without
like? An option.
smelling and tasting, and So of course, Coors Brothers. So Coors
Yes.
Brothers. The peanut butter, I'm a peanut butter girl. I know the orange and the cream is like the thing, but peanut butter with chocolate jimmies is everything to me. I could do chocolate mint with chocolate jimmies too. I can do that, but peanut
Mhm,
butter is my super fave. I love that.
mhm. I like
And
the orange twist.
yes, yes. And then
Mhm.
of course caramel popcorn, right?
Oh, Johnson's. Hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's just, and you don't get the lid on it so that it explodes all over the place.
Exactly.
Love it. Just love
Hmm.
it. And when
Hmm.
it's hot, you get the big handful of it. Oh, it's so
Your
good.
fingers are sticky for the rest of the time on the boardwalk. Yeah, but you
Love it.
don't care.
No,
Hmm.
no.
How about dinner?
So dinner, I
And you
love.
can go on or off the island for dinner.
I do. Well, actually, we do a lot of dinners all over the place. But the Anchorage is like
Hmm.
it's my favorite, and it's like a family favorite. And we love the Anchorage for so many reasons. They have great pub food. They have great dinners. So yeah, the Anchorage is a special place in our heart for our family. Love the Anchorage.
And I already know the answer to this question because Rocky told me. But what's your favorite beach?
Oh, Surf Road Beach is the best beach. It's right next to the Surfers Beach, so you can sit there and watch the surfers. You can see a view of Atlantic City. The waves come in sideways, which is kind of cool. So they're fun, when you're a kid, jumping the waves.
Hmm.
Everything about Surf Road Beach, I love it. They have a shower on the thing. They just added the shower to
That's right.
the walkway. It's great. So Surf
Hmm.
Road Beach all the way.
Hmm. And then
Since I
down
was
at the
a kid. I've been going there since I was a kid. I mean, my
Mhm.
whole life has been surf. I don't really know any other beach besides Surf Road Beach.
Right. And then down at the north end, it's a lot easier to get your dog on and off the beach without any hassle, right?
Well, before the lifeguards come.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
yeah, you
I
live
should
the
put
best.
that
So you got to get up
disclaimer.
early. You got to
Yeah,
get up early. But I also, in the wintertime, oh my gosh,
exactly.
I love putting a sweatshirt on, cup of coffee, walking the dog. It's so beautiful. And the sunrises are
Hmm.
perfect. They're perfect.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's really a magical place.
It really is. Well, as we close out this podcast, I do want to thank you, and I know that I'm really relying on Rocky this week as I wind down and come in a few days. I'll be putting my dog Penny down, and she's a blind dog. She's dying of kidney failure, and so I've been reading Don't Worry, Rocky, but I've changed it to Penny. And so I've been reading those books to her. She takes a lot of auditory and tactile stimulation, and she's been declining, and it's been a tough week, but I've gained a lot of inspiration from you and your books, and I know we've talked a little bit about this, and I really appreciate you being on the podcast. And
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for meeting you. And I have to say that I saw your buckets on the beach often. I've seen them often. And I'm always like, what is that bucket? I was always so curious about that bucket. And then on social media, you have beautiful social media. So when you reached out, I felt honored and so blessed and so grateful that you would reach out. And I actually met Penny, and I felt an immediate bond with Penny. She has a beautiful heart and soul, and I'm so glad that Rocky was able to touch her heart, and she will forever touch my heart. So thank you for allowing me to meet Penny, and I'm really, I will pray for Penny.
Thank you very much. Well, Rocky is an inspiration to this adult, and I'm sure will continue to send messages to children and other adults, and I look for many more books from Rocky in the future.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
You are doing great work, Deirdre. It has been a pleasure to have you on this podcast, and you are a wonderful person doing wonderful things. Keep it up, and I hope you come back and talk to us about your next book.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Do it.
Thank you, my friend.
See you on the beach.
See you on the beach.